Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Friday. It's May the 16th. This will be our chart lesson for today, and I'm going to wrap this thing up, and I'm going to call it a week myself. But it was a really good trading day. It's been a really good trading week. Um, I know a lot of people struggle with these range days, but I just love these days. They're so predictable, and I actually did better today than I did on the trend day yesterday. So that and I only say that because I want people to know that you can still make money on these range days. Granted, when the range gets like this and it's only a point or two and it just strings out forever, no, it's almost impossible to do anything with that. But when you get moves like this and like this, these are great setups and they're very, very predictable, especially when you've got a range day and you're coming off new lows and you get reversal patterns. That's where you can really jump on and ride it up, and you know where it's going, and you know where to exit, which is the other side. And so I love these days personally, and I like to trade them. But you can see the range, the majority of the range has been within the 1868 to 1864, about 4 points, but we've overshot that by a couple of points each time as well. And it still continues to, we kind of follow the pattern that most of your best movement is from, say, 7 o'clock in the morning till about 9 or 10 in the morning, and then it slows down again. So that's why I like to trade early and be in here early and do my thing early. And then on days like today, I can do the chart lesson. I'll be done here before 1 o'clock and I can leave and I'm done for the week. And with the summer coming on, I'm a golfer. I like to play golf. So as we get more into the summer months, I may start leaving early more often. So you may start to see the chart lessons even earlier if I'm done trading early enough. And I was done maybe by somewhere between 9 and 9:30 today, I think. So I was done really early today. We had some really good moves here that were, exactly what to expect. And you don't know that it's going to take it all in one move like that, but prices are heading lower. And if you catch a runner on this, or a few runners for that matter, uh, you can just load up and write it down. So, uh, and and most all your little short-term trends have worked out perfectly. You can see we had a channel here. We had the break early, moved to a new high. Then we sold off. Then we had one come down. We broke, moved to a new low. Then we were headed up, break, moved to a new high, headed down, break, attempt to move to a new low. We just couldn't get it. Then we're headed up. You got a shorter term one here, break, new high, comes back. Uh, then you got this one working up, break. We tried to go higher a couple of times, failed, and then we come down. And I want to talk about this area right here because somebody sent me a chart. Uh, I'll put his chart on there momentarily, and we'll go from there. And I just noticed I didn't mark any of the trades, so I'm going to pause it just. Okay, let's talk about the trades that I saw today. Let me get this crosshair out of the way. Um, if you were trading this early, there's a second entry long right here. It looks kind of rangy. We had a move down. Then we have a failed second entry short that turns up. You really could have entered this one a couple of different ways. When this bar broke lower and then turned up and went out the top side and went out, you could have gone long right there, but you were probably better off to wait and take the second entry long off this new low. And notice all those matching lows. This is like a little failed break lower. It's a higher low, and just go long right there. And if you drew these lines off those first couple of swings right there, and you see it's getting back inside. So I actually liked going long right there. Um, we're swinging back and forth. It's obvious this is kind of a trading. And I don't have it on there, but there was a little channel working down, and this is your break and your new low. So there was, there's your other clues to possibly go, be looking for a reversal here. So uh, I definitely don't think you want to take a second entry short right there with all those little dojis and all those matching lows. So you just sit tight and you see the trap, and you could have entered either way there, I believe. So then you got a new low here, first entry short, pull back a second entry short again. You might have thought about getting short right there because it's coming off that high, but you don't really have a new high yet off of this high, so there's a good chance you got to wait on it. You really got to wait on a second entry right there. And when you got the failed second entry short, then I think it's worthwhile to take long so you see if you're going to get that new high yet or not after your break down here. Uh, I still think you had to consider this as the high because of all the matching highs across there. I went back and forth over whether or not to make this one green, and it is a little choppy right in there, but I like the trap. You got the new low, first entry short, failed second entry short, and you probably did want to use a limit order here, but as you see, you could have used a stop, but you don't know that, and it's dangerous going long into that second entry. But with that trap right there, I think you're okay with that one. Again, I went back and forth, especially with it bouncing twice right off the trend line again. And then going short up here is fairly risky, but it's obvious the bias is kind of up at this point. There's no kind of, the bias is up at this point. And that's another reason I kind of liked going long there. Because I was looking, this is your overnight high right here, and not really this one, and this one's a tick or two higher, so it gives you a few more ticks in there too. So if you move this up to here, which is kind of across those matching highs up there, it gives you a little more room. You still, like I said, you probably want to enter with a limit order there just to be safe. And you could have gotten one filled here. Once it kind of started moving higher, it took on off, but early on you could have gotten a limit order filled right there, at least on the way mine's set up it could. Now going short up here is a little more risky, but the reason I like this for an aggressive trade is look how far away we are from the EMA. We broke above all those matching highs that were the highs of yesterday. You know you're coming back to the EMA even if you're going higher. You know you're coming back to the trend line even if you're going higher. And I think this one's worth risking to try to catch some runners, which you would have caught here. And you could, and you know, you get to ride this one all the way down. Maybe you exit when it comes out of here, but you're looking for prices to make a new low even after it breaks out of here. And you're really looking for them to possibly come down to here. So when it makes this new low right here and bounces, you're better off to exit if you're carrying any runners there. I just believe that's the smart move. And it ends up going lower, but you don't want to ride this out and watch it take all your profits back. Maybe you do on a runner, but I don't. If you've listened to me talk enough, or if you've talked with me, back and forth through emails about exiting, I like to exit where you're expecting the bounces and then look for another entry. I don't like to give anything back. It really pains me to see, a couple of points in my piggy bank and only to watch it take it back, because sometimes it doesn't come back and give you a newer low, and you're risking, and really you're risking all those profits for what? This is what really convinces me. Here's where the low was at 1864, and so prices go maybe 2 points lower here, a little over 2 points, so you're risking giving back all this for 2 points, maybe just a point to here. And because you're looking at this as the overnight low and you may not break that, so it's not worth the risk to me. I would rather exit and re-enter. I don't think you can go long here yet because it's possible we may make another leg down. So wait on a second entry, and you don't get a second entry short till right here. And and look at all that overlap. Now you got this little trend line working off those moves up through there. You don't want to go short right there. So just sit tight and see what happens. And guess what? You get a, where'd my other circle go? There it is right there. You get a trap on that second entry short. And even then, I think it's a little risky going long there. You don't really have this in place yet, so you're not worried about this midline really. You just barely got that in place. And so you need a little more price action to figure out if you got a midline. You can drag this up to here and kind of be anticipating that, but you don't really know about the midline yet because you don't have enough price action. But there is a midline in there, and you can clearly see that it's in play. but you can't really at that point. So not clearly anyway. And but because of the trap, again, I liked possibly going long there. Um, you got to use a limit order here because of all the overlap. And so if you could get filled, it would have worked. It might have, I think it even worked with a stop, but you definitely going to have to use a limit order there. Wait for it to break higher and then drop your limit order in. Stop would have been filled at 66.50, and you actually had a couple of ticks to spare. But you know, this is one where I would use a limit order, a tick back in this bar or so, and work from that. So, uh, and then of course you break and you come down here, and that's the first break of the channel. And you can see there's a clear channel there, and you get your first break. Again, this is aggressive because this is really looking rangy and choppy, but we bounced here multiple times, so when it bounces there, a lot of people are going to go long right there. Some people are going to buy this blind. I don't recommend doing that. It'll work a lot of times, but all you need is for it to do this one time and keep going to teach you a lesson on that. And so I don't like to buy them blind. Of course, the closer you get into the low right there, the smaller your stop is and the less risk there is in it. But this one just takes off. And you're looking for a retest to the high or the trend line and, you know, coming back to the EMA. So, again, aggressive traders probably going to take it. And even coming back down here, aggressive trader might take that one. But when I would have waited on a bearish bar, and then when this made this stem, you know, it's really, really iffy. That's really a second entry short there. And so I'm going to go ahead and mark this one because just like some traders are going to take that, a lot of people are going to take that. A lot of smart traders that like to be aggressive are going to take that. And you could have gotten into a limit order back within a tick of that right there, most likely. So, and this was a really good move. And you know, a move like that will make you a lot of, and there is a downward bias now. When this turned down, if you drew this line off these first swings here and pulled it up, you could have been anticipating that. I originally had it there, and maybe that's where it is, and that's the break, and that's the new low, because that gives you the answer to this thing moving higher, because I was surprised. I actually moved it up like so, and I was looking for a new low to come back down here much quicker than it did. But you got to follow this channel on the way up before you start looking for a short. And this is actually supposed to be blue. But anyway, again, aggressive trader is going to go long there. And probably even here, because that's one leg down, first entry, pullback, second entry. It's a new low for the day. And so I'm going to mark that one the same way. Again, it's aggressive, but that's a nice reversal bar. And, you know, you might have thought about right there, but you don't have a new low for the day, and that's not a very good bar. So you're probably going to wait for a little more price action. Plus, you got this channel working down. And again, you don't really have a break of it even here yet. So this one's is a little more aggressive, but notice how it bounces right off that line again. But many times you'll see it try to go higher and it'll make another push or two down and then go up. So to me, that's just really aggressive, but I love that bar right there. And it would have worked. What you might have done if you went long here and it starts hanging up right here, you might just hold tight. And it was tempting to go short right here if we'd have broke lower or got a really bearish bar set up, but we never got it. And then it reverses. And again, it's tempting to go long again here. And this would have worked, but I don't think you can go long here now because we still don't have a new low yet. The bias is still downward. And by sitting tight, you get this setup right here. And this thing really had to struggle to get down there. But it's heading down, and it's working for the new low on this retest. That's my opinion. And notice you got the break here to move to a retest. But this is such a small little channel working up that you can't, you know, you can't get, there's no guarantee that you're going to do more than make a tick or two, which is what usually happens. Then it turns down. But they fooled some people here, I think. And if you were reading it right, then you knew you didn't have this new low yet. And they tried to make it one more time, and guess what? It makes a double bottom and bounces there. One leg down, first entry, pull back, second entry. And again, I think it's aggressive. I don't really have this because there's no break of that yet. There's a little channel working back down here. If you just copy it and move it over, you can see it fits on the price action fairly well there. And this is the first break of it. So those kind of things scare me off of these trades, because I can show you over and over where these breaks and new highs come into play. And but I can show you over and over all the same that when you meet these new lows and you make double bottoms at these lows, people are looking for it to reverse, and a lot of them are jumping in there. And once it's proof that it's gone, you don't get another chance to enter, really. There's really no other way to enter this. Maybe right here, but then you're entering in the middle of the range, and who knows what could happen. I don't like that. Then it touches the top, it pulls back, but it bounces right off that. And this is a failed second entry low. Notice the new low. First entry short, pull back, second entry short, it turns higher. You got to use a limit order here, especially when it broke above that one. There's still room to get out here, so I like that one. Okay, I had an interruption there. I don't even remember where we were talking. I think we were talking about this trade, but yeah, you got to you treat this like a new low. This low is swing low is lower than that one or that one, so you got a new swing low. You're moving up. First entry short, second entry short. It bounces and turns up. That's like a failed second entry short. I love those. It's a bouncing off the EMA. There's enough room to get out. I love those trades. Again, you might have considered you probably wanted to wait on this bar, or either wait on it to break higher and use a limit order, and you get in a little closer back to the EMA, but it wouldn't have mattered. That was an easy trade. There's a breakout pullback long right here, but I don't think you want to take that trade right there. It wasn't quite back to the EMA. A lot of overlap. You just came off the high side, and what usually has happened, you're going to go to the low side. And of course, what ends up happening is you get your break of the trend line, your trend channel here, but you can't go short here yet, even on a second entry, because guess what? You're going short right into the EMA. You're going short before this is your first break of this little channel, and you're going to get a retest. Even if it can't make it, you're going to get an attempt. And it tried it twice. I don't think you want to go short there. It's a first entry. But when you get this failed second entry long and that reversal bar, that's two tries that tried to go test that high and couldn't get there. And now you got a long trap. So yeah, and you got a beautiful signal bar. When that bar breaks higher and is trading up here and then turns and closes on that low like that, that's a bearish signal. And especially with a trap. And they got people trapped, and that's why it does that. These people realize that they got long at the wrong place, and they start trying to exit, and it took a minute, and they actually had to push it one more time up, and then people really realized, I better get the heck out of here, and it's off to the races. And I didn't mark this trade because if you were already in here, that's great, but by the time this happens, this is starting to look like we could just get stuck here in one of them little tight ranges, but that's a real bearish bar. So the more I look at it, if I'd have been trading, I think I probably would have taken that trade. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it in green. But for the reason I just said, I'm a little bit leery of it. I love the first one, and that may seem odd, but if you understand how we read the price action and what we're doing, it probably seems odd to somebody that I'd say, I love this setup, but then I'm not as crazy about this one. But let me explain that. This one, you're getting in near the highs of where the resistance at, and by the time you're entering here, you're entering where all this support is at, and you're entering on the lows of the move that we just had. So that can be suspect without the right setup. But this is, we already had a trap, and this is just really a continuation of the trap. What happens, this is just my personal opinion, but what I think happens is when this didn't take off like it was expected, there was still a lot of buying right in here. then they don't have enough people fooled yet, or they don't have enough people that are willing to exit yet. So they take it higher again, and what happens is some more of them will jump in right here, or uh, they'll scare some more shorts out, and then they reverse it down again. And this one broke out higher first and then broke out the low. If I'd have been watching that, I probably would have waited on this bar, but when it broke lower, I probably would have dropped a limit order in there. And you might even use a stop there, because that is such a beautiful bearish bar, and it's a second entry short on that failed break higher. So, the more that I look at that, but I'm still going to leave it green for the reasons I just explained. It's always more dangerous getting in at the lows of a move. And so, even though we know this is a trading range and this has been the highs, by now your highs have kind of moved up here. And what was your highs, really, the really scary part is this is kind of acting as what was acting as resistance is trying to act as support. And that's a clue that we could go higher, but there's no real good setup here. And the closes, notice how even though this went a little higher, the closes were lower. That's a sure sign of a trap. And it went higher here, and then look where it closes. So that's telling you something. The bears are really coming back in strong now, and the buyers are losing grip. And you see what happened, it moves on down. But you can't go short right here. And I want to show a chart somebody sent me. The reason you can't go short here is that's the first break of the channel. So if you see this little channel right here, you got to realize they're going to try to take it higher for a retest. So let me put this chart up here. The trader sent me. And maybe he sees I don't know what this pink, I don't know what the pink line is, unless he's looking at that as the tops of his range. But he went short right here. This trader went short, and they couldn't figure out why this failed. And I'm not sure, unless this red or pink line right across here is their top of the range and they recognize that, I don't know why they would consider going short right here other than that bearish bar. But what you have to realize is you see the channel working up here. You got it drawn properly. You got the break. You got a first entry long, pulls back, and there's a second entry long, and that's, you want to enter right there. And his bar looks beautiful. And because you're going to try to get a retest. So you're just looking for a reason to get long if it starts going that way, and here you got it. But you can't get short yet. Yeah, this might turn down and rocket straight down, but I don't think you want to risk that right here, because you see the channel and you know what's going to happen after a break. You're going to likely get a retest. And so, look at that overlap too. Even though that's a really bearish bar, now if this would have broke out the top and then went on out below that double bottom and closed on its very low, all in one bar, maybe then. But even then, I think it's just a little too risky. And so you're better off just to either sit here and do nothing and see if you get a retest and then a setup, or if you see a trap, which that's what this is. That's a beautiful failed second entry short that turns into a trap. And the trader's original question was asking me, he said, once I was in this short, he says, how do I know whether I should stay with the short or I should go long? Well, the first thing I always tell a trader, if you don't know, if you don't even recognize what happened here and you got trapped and you're just guessing, then guess what? You're gambling, and you can't make money in this business as a gambler. So if you don't recognize what's happening, just exit the trade and get out as cheap as you can. Don't dare watch it go up here and take your stop out. Now, if you think you're reading it right, because what will happen occasionally is you'll get hung in some congestion here, and it may still be going to go short, lower, or it may be still going to go higher. In this case, the bias is still up at this point, and we're still looking for prices to go higher to make this retest. So this congestion is just the indecision and the kind of the reversal area. The buyers are coming back in right around that EMA, knowing that there's a retest coming, and that's what prices are going to probably do. And so that's why you're finding this little congestion area here. So if you get caught on the wrong side and you're not sure if you're even on the wrong side, then you know what the answer is. Get out fast. Get out as quick and as cheap as you can before it costs you more money. And you might even end up being right, but if you're not sure, most of the time, you know as well as I do what the rules of trading are. If you're not, most of the time when you're not sure and you're entered and it's not doing what you thought it was going to do, you're fixing to get burned. So just get out. But the reason this didn't go lower is they were just trapping people. We got a retest going on. Enough people probably saw the range. It's not that hard to figure out a range here. Look at my chart. I mean, it's real obvious that there's a range here. Um, that's not hard to see, even if you move, and you might have moved this up by now to like right along here. And it's still pretty obvious that this is a range. And there's even a tighter range here before it's all over. You actually wouldn't have seen but this much right here. And you can see on my chart, you don't really get a very good short setup, although his looked really nice. No way I'm going short right there on my chart, because I'm still looking, I'm waiting on a second entry to go long. And then suddenly I get that, and you get a chance to go long right there. Well, that's a whole nother story, because you're looking for a retest. And at the very least, your high is like right across here probably now. I think this was really the highs of the range, maybe more like that right there. So, of course, it could have turned up here and turned back down, which it did, but you're out before that happens, before it actually did turn back down. So I like that for a long, but you don't want to be going short right there for the reasons we just talked about. And you may skip the long too without a really nice setup. So this is kind of an area where you got to be real careful that you're reading it properly. So I hope that makes sense. And again, if you look at his chart, his looks a little bit different than mine, but you still got to go short into a double bottom. But he does have a very bearish bar that opened, traded higher, and closed on its low. But if there's not a lot of strong buying here, most likely that bar is going to go on below that little double bottom and close and trade out the other side. And that's a little better sign that the bears have taken over. And you don't get that. It closes above, not even equal, but above that little double bottom. So they love to throw these bearish bars out here and get you tricked in just in time to reverse it and go the other way. I mean, that's the whole idea. They're trying to trick you there. And so I hope that makes sense to you, but that's why, you're still looking for a retest, and eventually you couldn't get it. And then I explained all that. And that was the last trade I marked. There isn't really anything else happening today. You don't want to be entering in any of that. That was the last trade that we've seen, really. So, wait and see if you actually had a failed second entry short here. But again, you got all this overlap. The odds are it's going to snap back in there. So you don't really want to go short there or long there, I don't think, because you haven't got down here to the low side. Actually, you've got this working down through here now. You can see that. And so that's why you're finding resistance right across there, because you're working lower now. But anyway, that's pretty much it. I hope everybody had a good week. Hope you had a good trading day, a matter of fact. And we'll be back to do this Monday. So we'll see you on Monday. Hope everybody has a great weekend. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.